I'm both.
But
We have a running joke on this show, and it's that Zach hates Azul. But Zach's actually never played Azul.
I never played Azul.
But we're not sure if the joke is real and he's just never going to play it, or if we'll eventually play it on stream.
but why is it so unappealing?
It just doesn't draw me in. Like I look at the box, I hear people talk about it, and I'm just like I don't know. I just
You're
don't.
not a fan of beautiful tiles.
I don't want to build a beautiful tapestry. I want to.
It's puzzly. I mean,
It's very puzzling.
Azul is pretty cutthroat.
Yes, it is. When you stick people with those tiles, oh mercy. That's.
I can totally understand not liking Azul. It is definitely not my favorite. I like the newer Azul better.
Okay, which one? Summer Pavilion or what's the other one called?
Yes, the stained.
Yeah. I have not played Summer Pavilion, but it's like number one on my tabletop simulator want to play.
Summer Pavilion's way better because it is more forgiving.
All right.
And prettier.
Good to know.
I gotta give it a shot. I mean, people
I mean,
love and
you know.
respect, enjoy it. So I should
You
trust
gotta at
them.
least say that you've played it, then you can say you hate it.
Yes, yeah. I agree.
It's not like it's long or anything.
That's
Oh,
true.
goodness. All right. So, welcome to Ivy Weekly. I am Austin Harrison. I am joined by my co host, Zach Dixon.
Hello.
And we are joined by the wonderful Steph Hodge. Thank you so much for being here today.
Yay!
It is amazing to not only have a fellow Nashvilleian, but also have someone that has played a million more board games than us be on the show. So thank
This
you.
is true.
Yeah, it is. It is very true. Thank you for being here. If you don't know who Steph is, Steph runs the very popular Instagram account Punkin312, and she shows off her incredible board game photography on that. It is very, very great channel or profile. What do you call Instagram pages?
Account?
Yeah,
Account
profile.
to follow.
Account,
Profile.
yeah.
Yeah. Go follow it. Really good. She also runs a blog called All the Meeples of the Rainbow, and she is also working with BGG. So a lot of really cool board game titles here for you. You have the blog. You sent us a link to games that you've been playing recently, and I was blown away. I love your ranking system with the rainbow. Really, really fantastic. Because no one can be mad about a rainbow.
Right.
It's like, oh, I got 2 rainbows out of 5, but it's still a rainbow.
Yeah. I love that.
Exactly.
Oh, goodness.
Well, no, my worst rated game is a sad cloud, and it's a sad rainbow.
Okay, no.
So, that.
How
that
often
would
are you
still make
giving
me
out sad clouds?
Oh, I try it. I mean, I don't want to be, obviously, but it happens probably more than you would think. Maybe 5 this year so far.
Okay.
Oh, okay. We're
That's
more
for
than halfway
rating
through the
between
year, so.
1 and 2 out of 10. I mean, it's
Okay.
it's low. These are
they
things
deserve
you
it.
don't want
It's
to
like
play.
a Monopoly clone with worse art and no nostalgia.
Monopoly is not a sad cloud for me.
No, like a Monopoly clone with no art and no nostalgia would be a sad clown for me. But,
That's fair.
Yeah. I remember just one Dice Tower review where he was like, you literally taped things to a Monopoly board. And I lost it. It was so good. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Monopoly.
No.
Or are we?
Steph, how many plays do you have this year? Just a question, random question. You don't have to give an exact number.
I think I'm around 1050.
Wow.
Whoa.
1,050.
Okay.
Do you log plays? Like, do you keep track of them?
Not on BGG, but I have the board game stats app
Yep.
that
Okay.
I'm like, I played that.
Nice.
I have that app, and I was really, really religiously logging on my plays for 2 months, and I was loving it. And then I forgot 3 game nights in a row, and I just have never gone back, and I need to. I feel bad about it.
Yeah, you need to.
It's a great app.
It's fun to see. It also helps me keep track of what games I need to write about in my upcoming blogs. I post 3
That makes
blogs
sense.
a week, so it's
Wow.
like
Wow.
okay,
Always
I
need
gotta keep
content
this
then.
organized somehow.
That's amazing. That's a lot of blogs,
Yeah,
and that's a
she's-
lot of games to play. Do you have a calendar? Do you schedule these out? How do you manage to fit all of this into your life?
I know it's a lot. Writing a blog is about 30 hours a week. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
Between editing pictures and editing format of the blog and just writing it all out, it's a lot of work to do this. But
No, definitely.
I'm dedicated, and I like writing reviews for new games. I always say new to me, and I write a big review on my new games that I play. But I also cover every game that I play. So even if I'm playing repeats of Scythe for the 50th time, it's still going to be in there.
Yes.
People love to see my session plays and everything. So
That's great.
I try and cover it all. And take great pictures.
So another reason we talked about before the show turned on that you don't have a ton of interest in making your own game. I would say the best reason that I can give you not to make a game is if you make your own game, you have to play it so many times in a row. And yes, you can get up for air every once in a while and play a different game because it helps inspire you. But like, I have only really played our game this year.
Oh yeah, no. If you make a game, you just don't play any other games. That's the way it goes.
Yeah,
that's not true.
It's too bad because there's so much to be seen, and you learn so much from playing all the games. So that's what I would recommend to you guys. Just play a ton of different games, figure out different mechanics, and then you can make your games better.
So
totally.
Last year when we went to cons, I would only really spend my time playing our game. And next year, or hopefully next year, hopefully not the year after, but when we go to cons, I think I'm going to have people there to help play our games, and I'm just going to go play everyone else's games. Because, I mean, I love playing our games. I wouldn't want to sell them if I didn't like our game. But also, cons are just like the perfect opportunity to experience new things.
Right.
So, also... Go ahead. You were about to say something.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask. Will you do like any theme weeks ever? Because that's something like we do when we're prepping to make our games, right? We'll just like try and do some research around like what are games that are in a similar genre or like have different like mechanics that might be similar, so we can get some inspiration. Do you ever like group things together, or are you just kind of just like I'll just play whatever comes to mind?
It's almost always whatever, except for the only time I've ever done like a theme week or day or game day or whatever was Halloween, like the day before the day of Halloween, just because playing the monster games, it kind of gets you in that spirit.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
That makes me wonder, are there Christmas games or like holiday?
Oh, there are tons of Christmas games.
Wonderful.
I played those sporadically throughout December.
Okay,
right.
Nice.
That makes sense.
I love that.
Are there Valentine's games? Like, is that just the love
I'm
games?
sure I could think of a few that could qualify as
Thanksgiving.
Love letters? I don't know. Is that
love letter. You always add
love letter.
Love
of love.
Yeah, it's my favorite thing that you do because I always get to like correct you in the moment. I'm like, it's actually love letters.
It's like an aliens type.
Aliens,
it's love letters too, or love letter to love letters.
Okay, moving on from that. Obviously, there's a pandemic on. How has that affected your ability to play all the games?
Yeah.
Oh,
how are you keeping
it doesn't.
Up? It doesn't. No, you just do it all online, or are you doing some in person?
No. Yeah, I have a gamer here, so we play mostly 2 players.
Nice.
I play a lot of 2-player games, but I play with my friends online as well. So I do track those because we do the FaceTime and it's all in live real time. So it feels like real gaming, even though it's online. I get why people might not think so, but you're chatting with your friends, you're having a good time. So it counts. It's time put in and you're playing games and it's fun. So I've been, obviously you heard my game count for the year.
You're not slowing down, that's for sure.
I'm not slowing down.
That's great to hear. And I mean, at some point, like, you do have to just pick who you're quarantining with. Like, obviously me and Zach are not wearing masks, where when we're out in public, we're always wearing masks. And so like Zach and I have just recognized we're together so much that it's not beneficial at this point. But moving on from that. So when we were prepping for this call, Steph, we were talking about Board Game Geek. And maybe we should talk about Board Game Geek as a special topic. We ended up not doing that because you were like, we like decided it's basically like Facebook at this point. Like, describing Facebook to anyone is a moot point. Like, you don't need to do that because Board Game Geek is so important for the board games industry. But what is your favorite part about working there?
So I'm not a full-time employee, but I do contract work. So I do a lot of database work with Eric Martin, but I also, my favorite thing is working the cons for them. Even though we don't have cons this year, we're still doing a lot of online demos and have online weekends. So like we ran for Gen Con, we ran a stream for 4 days. And before that, the week before that was Comic-Con. We ran the stream for 4 days with them as well. It's like 8 hours a day, back-to-back publishers showing their games. And so it's a lot of fun being a host in this situation because I love learning about new games, as you can imagine. Like, what's that?
Totally. I actually got to catch one of your streams for Gen Con, so that was neat. I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to be a guest of ours in like a week. This is amazing.
It's awesome.
Are you excited for anything that the Board Game Geek team is working on right now?
So before we when we were talking about this show and everything, we were like, well, some of our users don't use BGG. And my initial reaction was like, what?
Why?
Who the heck doesn't use BGG? It's like the essential resource if you need to know anything about anything related to games. I mean, you need to go on BGG. You need to get an account. You need to put in all your games that you own, all this stuff. You just need to do it. I mean, it's
how many
gotta do it.
How many rules, discussions, and I say discussions lightly because arguments, have we settled through Board Game Geek, you think?
Every single one. It's our first stop.
It's the first stop. If you have a question on a rule, it's most likely been answered by somebody else who had the same question on BGG in the forums. I can almost always find the answer. Yeah. I mean, so BGG has been in the works of making a new cover page to be more inviting and be more like almost like a Netflix. You kind of scroll through the different like categories. So they're working on this and making it more user friendly, which I think, the landing page for BGG is a little bit outdated. I mean, a lot of people would say it's ridiculous, but you get used to something. So right now it's fine for me. I know where to find everything if I need to find it. Yeah. I've been using it for long enough at this point, but it's just, you just got to do it.
No, yeah, that's exciting though, because I feel like the audience of board gaming in general is getting wider and becoming more mainstream, and so I'm excited for potentially like maybe a bit more approachable homepage, at least to like get people in the door, totally. And just I mean that's where you go. That's where you go to see what new games, the hotness
it's such a good community too. And I mean, just like the mods, I told Steph this when we were doing our prep call, but I always laugh at myself because when we go in and make our board game pages on Board Game Geek, you have to write this description. And I always just take our marketing description and throw it in there. And the mods are always like, hey, like, thanks so much for posting this. It's wrong. This needs to be about gameplay and you need to have these 8 things. And they're so nice and helpful and amazing. And they didn't say you're not very smart, Austin. You should have done this right the first time. They walk you through it really well. So I've been really impressed with the community. We need to be more involved on Board Game Geek. Yeah. It's an area that I didn't do very well at while promoting Moonrakers. So
we'll get them next time.
Get them next time for this game.
Make sure you subscribe also to your game, your publisher page or whatever, because if anybody has any questions ever, you can go in and answer. I mean, that's being there for the community. If you have a game is critical, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If there's tons of unanswered questions on there, that doesn't reflect well on the publisher at all. Yeah. So.
Well, and this is one of the things that I was like actually thinking about when it was coming to making Moonrakers. I didn't like one of the things is like you don't want to be that person who just shows up and like just starts a whole new forum channel about your game and getting people to come to it. But I think. Yeah, that like first initial step, like as someone who's maybe just a first time board gamer, what's like a good entry point to getting involved as a creator on Board Game Geek?
You don't necessarily have to create anything. Just, I mean, you should create your username. You kind of start seeing different geek lists or what a geek list even is. Like a geek list is a combined like picture, and you can have descriptions, and you have like a list of games, if you will, and so you can create your like top 10 games in a geek list or something.
What are we doing? We should do that right now.
We should do that right now.
Right now.
Pause this. We're gonna go make our top. No, just kidding.
I mean, just figuring out the basics of what BGG is, and eventually you'll start learning. Oh, what's a math trade? Oh, what's all these different things that BGG has to offer? Oh, there's a marketplace. You can sell your games that you don't want anymore. All these different things. And you just learn by doing. You see what other people are doing. Some people give away Geek Gold. Well, what is Geek Gold? You can buy an avatar. You can buy some micro badges and micro badge little things under your avatar. So all these things that you just kind of pick up along the way. And that's actually how my blog started. I saw somebody posting a geek list. What did you play Mondays? And so you would talk about the games you played over the weekend. And mine got to be so long because I play so many games that I'm like, I need to take this to a different format. And I started my blog. That's exactly how it started.
That's actually the exact question I was going to ask you next was how did you get started blogging and taking pictures and doing your Instagram account? But that sounds like you just answered that question. Is that also how you started taking pictures? Because you're like, I need pictures for this.
Sort of. I mean, I did photography through high school and college, and I did a whole year program on just focusing on photography. I'm a professional photographer at this point. but it translated into board gaming photography for the blog, and people like pretty pictures. And
they do. I mean, there's a
pictures
reason you
sell
have more than
games.
10,000 followers on Instagram. You
seriously.
take good board game pictures. So
Yes.
one might
And
even
so
say
I
great.
focused in on that, and you just, I love making games look beautiful.
So with the community on Board Game Geek, have you found some like in real life friends through that community?
Oh my God, yeah, tons of
hear.
people. I've met so many people just because conventions and people follow the blog, and just we could become friends on Facebook, and then we meet up at a convention someday, like things like this. It's just so many people.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's only growing.
Yeah,
it's definitely not slowing down. So, that's really neat. I'm excited to see the new BGG page when it goes live.
Yeah. Is there a time frame on that? I don't want to. I'm really putting you on the spot. On
no,
that.
it's just things have been like this. So they are working on it though. So let it be known.
Definitely. No, these things take so much time, and with the little dev experience I have.
Oh my God, you don't even know.
Yeah. Yep. So you have, through the course of your blog and through working on your Instagram page and stuff, and I'm guessing through your work with BGG as well, you've developed really good relationships with other like board game producers, other publishers. Has that really jump-started your content? Do you get stuff early and you're able to review it, or how does that work?
At this point, at first, when I was just writing my blog, it was about 3 years before a publisher really noticed what I was doing. And, you grow your audience over time, and just people will see the passion. But once I started like shyfully, I guess, asking for games, they're like, oh yeah, here. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I stopped really having to pay for the games, because I am a reviewer. I do promote games on my Instagram page. And so it's like, you just start small and just, you work your way up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we get requests for people asking for Moonrakers all the time on our social media channels. And I mean, we'd love to. We just don't have any games yet. They're on their way still. So people are like, hey, can I have a game? And I'm like, in October. That's been an interesting, I didn't expect that when we got started. I mean, we're just finishing up our first game and getting it delivered. So we're still very new in this industry, but it's so great because the community is so good. We get so much advice and so many people that have already been down this road that help us. And then people like yourself that aren't creating board games, but you were telling us just like right before the thing got started, like, hey, I'm in Nashville and I didn't know you were here. So
it's bad. It's bad. You need to go to Nashville events. I mean, were you at Tennessee Game Days?
We were. Yeah, we were. But it was just me.
At least you were there.
I was there.
But those are the places you need to be, especially in Nashville, because I talked to many of my friends in there. They're like, who are they? I'm like, they need to get in the community more.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I completely agree. I want all of the cons in Nashville to be back on so we can go hang out and do stuff. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yep, let's do it. All right, so let's transition to games we're excited about. And this is a very exciting and somewhat shameful episode of this, because we're talking about the Wall of Shame, games that we own that we haven't played. So the question is, what is your game you are most excited about to play for the first time that is in our collection right now? I'm going to start with you, Zach.
Oh, let's see. I did not hear the most excited about in my collection, but
sorry.
No. But Wall of Shame. So I actually have two. So one is Root. It is definitely the game that we own collectively. I feel like we own games together.
We own games together. We don't.
Root. I've just been in love with the art from the beginning. That's the thing that draws me in first.
It's really cute.
It is really cute.
Just like a world I want to exist in for a few hours. Love the asymmetry. Like, it just looks like a blast. We have tons of expansions to
we
play.
Do. We have,
so it's just
we have everything.
And it's very, very popular, and I should have played it by now. But, here it is sitting in its shrink wrap in the background of Ivy Weekly. So you'll get to see when...
It's not exactly easy to get into because everybody's playing a different role.
Yes.
And you really want a full 4 players. And if
true.
Everybody's learning, it's going to be a bigger experience, and you're going to have to dedicate time for that.
Steph, one of the other employees at IV, came into the office and saw it sitting here and thought the art was cute. And so she slacked me and was like, hey, is Root a fun game? Should I borrow this and play it? And I was busy at the time, so I just slacked back real fast. It's asymmetric, and then went back to my work. Because in a board game speak, that people know what that means. But for her, she was like, I have no clue what you mean.
What's that?
Yeah. So that was hard for me. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was not very intelligent in the way that I presented that to you. But I am so excited to play this game. I actually might steal it and play it without you. Is that okay?
Well, you should steal it, read the rules, and then you can teach it.
Teach it. Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah, Steph. I mean, you've played this game. Is any recommendations for us on our first playthrough or expansions?
No,
or?
I don't have. I mean, I played it only once.
Okay.
I played Vast and that only once as well. The game is interesting and good. I'm not sure it's for me.
Oh, okay.
Hey, you've played enough games to know the games that you were going to like.
What
when
makes
a
it not
game
for you?
is
This
a race. Yeah, when a game is a race, it's usually off-putting for me because I like to be able to score and do well. If somebody just snatches the win from under me and I have nothing to show for it, it kind of is like it leaves me a little bit sad.
So when you say like a race, it's like getting to a certain point threshold, and once that threshold is met, then you instantly win the game.
Over.
Got it. So what about games where the game is over, but then you score points based on the rest of the game? So, like, I'm thinking of like...
Oh, that's perfect.
That's
mean,
perfect.
That's fine. But if it's actually like most race games, like with cars and everything, where there's one winner at the end, it's just, it doesn't really... that's really not my favorite type of game.
Got it.
Oh, that makes sense.
There are some that I do enjoy. For example, like Oracle of Delphi is a race to get to Zeus at the end. You complete all your missions, but the actual game mechanics have you puzzling out and working with dice, and the whole game is very unique in that the race element of it isn't as like prominent. I guess it's weird because some race games I do like, while others I'm just like, I just feel defeated.
I love, one of my favorite race games is The Road to El Dorado, and it's a little deck builder where you're just trying to get from one side of this map to the other as fast as you possibly can. And I love that race mechanic, but I totally understand what you're saying. In some games, it's just like, if I had a few more turns, or if like we could score points later, like I would have won this game. Like I have the better, I have the better play. It's just they ended the game early, and it's like that is, I can understand that. There's not all games.
Root also has the added challenge of trying to like ally with people, and I'm not really good at playing nice with people.
Got it. Me and Zach are both good at that, but not with each other.
Oh no, yeah, we're like rivals in the games that we play.
We're pretty cutthroat when we play games together.
Because we have to beat each other, so at all costs.
Right. But it's hard because like games like this where you kind of have to target people at times or they might win, and you kind of have to get people on your side to do this. So it's really hard for me to do that, I guess. I don't know. So I actually had a pretty good experience playing Root. It's just after the fact, I'm like, I don't know if I liked it as much as I did while I was playing. Like, I don't know. It's one of those weird situations. But the art definitely has me.
The art is so good.
Would you say, like, of your group, I would have to imagine that you are like the most passionate or avid or hardcore gamer of your group, or do you have others in your group who go even harder than you?
I am pretty far out there.
Well, because I feel like in games where there is that like social element, like if you are the person who's most hardcore about gaming, and you probably win a lot, and that makes kind of everyone just want to beat you really badly. And so games where there's that social element, I feel like you're at a disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so that's what happened with Azul, right? Everybody could target me, and I would just get like 16 negative points at the end of each round. I'm like, how is this happening?
Now I know Austin wants to play Azul with me. This all makes sense.
Steph, have you heard of, I'm asking heard of because I guess you haven't played it because I don't think it's delivered yet, but have you played Merchant's Cove or heard of Merchant's Cove?
I've heard of it. I haven't played it yet.
I think it was a Kickstarter that hasn't delivered yet. It was supposed to deliver in June, but I'm imagining they got delayed just like we did.
I'm guessing COVID, yeah.
But the reason I bring it up is it's the same asymmetry like a Root type game where there's 4 different merchants in this town. doing different things, but it's scored more like a game that you would like. So I think we should play this game together when it comes out. So hopefully the pandemic's done by then, and we'll get our copy. But this maybe will be a game that we play together, because I would really enjoy that.
So,
yeah, that'd be cool.
So an addendum to in addition to Root of my wall of shame, I do want to say, like, I got Diplomacy for Christmas, I think 3 years ago, or maybe 4 years ago at this point. And when I just knew it was this like classic game, that like this big strategy game that just seemed like really interesting to me, but I did not read the playtime on it before buying it. And so I set it up like, we're gonna play this with my in-laws, because they got it for me for Christmas, and I was like, I'm never playing this game, am I?
Oh,
it's
no.
just gonna sit on my shelf forever.
People play that one by mail.
Yeah.
I've seen forums of like people playing Diplomacy by mail.
So I think that's how I'll have to do it.
People still do that?
Yeah, that's how you'll have to do it that way. Or we'll do it when we're in like the old age home together.
Or like by email, like Max plays Risk via email.
Which is odd to me. It's like Risk with Fog of War. It's definitely not traditional Risk.
Sounds fun though. I kind of want to try it.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to my Wall of Shame game, which is The Search for Planet X. So
nice.
I actually have it right here, and it's not in the shrink wrap because I opened it and looked at all the components because I was really excited about it. But why I like this game, number one, I find the theme unique and interesting. It's like you are a astronomer looking for a planet that supports life. And you do that through like really interesting like scientific means, like you're doing surveys and you're like having to do like some logic puzzles and rules to like rule planets out, and then you like eventually find the planet that can support life. And I don't know, I think that's just like a really unique theme with a lot of puzzly gameplay that I would enjoy. And I don't know, I just think it's a neat idea. The box is
I agree. I think the deduction element and the puzzliness, that is all attractive in games for me, like trying to figure out a puzzle and like what's good.
All right, so
that seems good.
One important thing to talk about this: it looks impossible to play without the app. How do you feel about games like that, Steph? Because I know there's a lot of people.
I'm fine with it.
You're fine with it. Cool. Good to hear. I have some people that see that and they just don't want to play that game anymore. And I get that. Like, the reason you want to play a board game is to be analog and not on your phone. But when you're using one phone and it's kind of like at the center of the table and it's like a part of the game, that doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Yeah, Gloomhaven won me over on that. I feel like I was maybe a little bit like that before, but then I was like, it's a great game that's just made even better by it. So why wouldn't I use it? Like, it's still a great time.
Well, that's just it, right? I mean, like, we're going to probably talk about this game later, but Lord of the Rings Journeys has this amazing app, and it's story driven, and you can play the same scenario over and over, but it's going to generate new maps and different things that are happening. So I think having that app integration, if it's done well, is really a powerful tool.
Yeah. We are going to talk about that game later. I'm excited. Yeah, really, really unique game. I think it's definitely one that you need the right group for. It doesn't feel very light to me.
Are you going to invite me? Am I the right group?
Yeah, no, you're definitely the right group.
That's great.
It's 60 to 75 minutes too, which isn't bad.
No,
Steph, this is not the special topic because it was the special topic last week. It was game length, and we talked about how all games lie about their game length.
What's going on?
Do you agree with that? Does it seem like it's always longer than the listed game time?
Maybe we're just slow. We could be slow.
We could be slow.
You could be slow. For the most part, I think the games are generally on point. Some of them are wrong. But like Scythe is right on the money. Like our first 3 plays of Scythe was like
nice
to the 5 minutes.
Wow.
Like,
all right.
So
Star Wars,
and it was like a weird one. Now I'm gonna look it up and tell you because it was just so weird.
It was like really specific.
It's not like 60 minutes. It wasn't like a common time. I'm gonna tell you. I'm just gonna.
I mean,
look, it was just so weird that I'm like, how did they do? Like clearly,
I'm not surprised.
It says 115 minutes.
Wow,
that is oddly specific.
I love that. I mean, it makes sense because Scythe that's a perfect game right there.
Oh wow, that's a hot take.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean,
it's a great game.
It's in my top 5. I love that game.
It's in my top 20.
Yeah, and so that's one that's like on the money when it comes to time. I mean, so it's just, it just depends on the group, I suppose. Also, so yeah, it could run longer when you learn a game or when you have a person that's AP or analysis paralysis. That's really
Yeah, that happens. It happens.
I like to think of it as like I'm just I'm thinking my thoughts. All right.
Leave me be.
Yeah.
Star Wars Rebellion says it's 3 to 4 hours, and I think that's incredibly optimistic. I would say most games. I play with people that aren't as experienced with it, maybe. So maybe it's more like 5-6 hours.
Definitely a teaching game is longer, unless you just destroy them really fast.
Yeah, that's true. I have been really, really audacious with my Rebellion secret base placement before and lost that game in an hour and a half. And so in that case, they did a great job. They were way over. But most games run 5 to 6 hours for me. But anyway, moving on from that. All right. So, Steph, I'm really excited to talk about the game that you chose.
So I just want to preference this by saying I have about 400 games in my unplayed shelf.
That's
okay, because I do a lot of trading and buying at cons for discounts. I find a lot of good deals. Just because something looks interesting, I'm like, I don't want to play, retail price for it, but I will pay somebody $5 for it. Sure,
yeah, totally,
mine, and then I can play it and sell it if I don't like it, whatever. So I do this a lot with a lot of games.
Good to know.
But however, I do get a bunch of. I guess I could say I'm pretty cool. No, I'm just kidding. I get a lot of review copies, which is awesome for me because I do like to play all the games and I like to write about games and I generally promote games. Even if I don't like something, I'll find the good in it, even if it's not for me. And I express what's not for me and I express why somebody else might like it.
Totally.
So
that's great.
I try and do that with my reviews, even if it's a kind of a harsh review. I'm critical to a T.
Clown.
Well,
is it Cloud or Clown? It's Cloud probably. That makes more sense with rainbows. I heard Clown.
Sad clown and rainbows.
Oh no, sad cloud. It's Cloud.
I was wondering. I was like, I was on her blog and I did not see any clowns.
No clowns.
Yeah, no clowns at all. Yeah. That's funny. Okay. All right. So what drew you to this game specifically?
So this one actually, I got to host Phalanx during Gen Con last week during the BGG live stream, and I was like, oh, wow, this looks amazing. Oh my goodness. So I asked for a review copy, and so Freedom with exclamation point. And when I first saw this, I'm like, I wonder if this is a remake of Freedom, the Underground Railroad, which is an amazing game, by the way, and you should definitely play that.
Yep.
But this is a 2-player tower defense type game where one player is playing Greece and the other player is playing. I'm really bad at history, so I'm really not good with history. Theme, and I'm so bad
with group of people. It doesn't.
Anyway, the other people are coming in and they're trying to defend. So it looks really cool, and it's card driven, and you have pieces on a map, and you're trying to just survive basically as Greece.
So when you sent it to us, it might be Persia. When you sent this to us, I had never heard of it. I went and looked it up. They ran a Kickstarter.
Looks so cool.
I have never seen a game pull off a more epic scene with just colored blocks.
Seriously.
The board is fantastic.
They're good colors, though.
They're good colors, definitely. But there's a beautiful board. No doubt it's a beautiful board. But the pieces are just blocks, and you instantly know what's happening on that board. It's just I don't know how they did it. I would have not thought that was possible because it just looks so
really tight art direction.
Yeah, the Ottoman Empire during the Greek War. There you go.
Ottomans.
There's the history.
Nice. There it is. It's so interesting looking. You sent this to me, never heard of it, and I was like, "Yep, I'm gonna buy that. That's a buy."
Do we buy it?
No, I didn't yet.
2-player, which is nice. I just
found out about it this morning. We're gonna get it though.
Yeah,
it's 2-player, and I play a lot of 2-player, so I think this will go over fairly well.
It's got a solo expansion. Did you get that? And do you play a lot of solo games?
Oh, good question.
I don't play any solo games because if I have time, I'm usually writing the blog.
Okay,
right,
nice,
that makes sense.
Nice.
I do play some solo games, but if I had the option, I would always choose to play with another person. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm definitely not.
I have played solo games, but I'm definitely not a solo gamer.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Such a good choice. I just want to thank you for choosing this because I really want to play this game now, and I had no idea it existed. So, excellent choice. Is there a mechanic or anything that you know of in it that you're excited to try, or is it just the theme and the artwork and the look of the game that got you excited?
Well, so the card play seems really interesting because if you use a card with the other player's power on it, they can do that power if they want to.
Yikes.
So it's like you really have to pick and choose which cards you're going to play but I haven't played it, so I can't say for sure what the best mechanics are or anything like that. But that seems really interesting and tough choices. So
yeah, that is interesting. I can't place the art. So I love the theme that it's Greek versus Ottomans. But if you had told me that, I would have thought like bows and arrows. But I think it's cannons and rifles.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it is cannons.
Oh, yeah, because there's some big ships and...
Yeah.
Because I remember the demo, it
has like a French Revolution vibe.
It definitely does have that kind of vibe.
I like it. Oh, no, I'm saying this is all positives because like I really find it interesting. But I guess the Ottoman-Greek War was way later.
I don't know.
We're gonna have to look this up.
You know more history than me.
I know.
Or it's just
it was fascinating because during the interview, he was giving me all this history lessons. I'm like, wow, it's so interesting. Of course, I don't remember any of it now because I can't remember anything like that. But I think it is based on actual events, and I'm very. Oh, it definitely is.
So
it definitely is.
It must be that we're just wrong. And I think when you think Greek wars, you're thinking like Peloponnesian and like bows and arrows and flame ships, and like that's what you're thinking. But this is much more modern.
Greece is still a place.
It is still a place.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I think it is.
I've heard it. Might have even seen it.
Might have even seen it. Who knows? I think my wife's been there. All right.
Well, so there are definitely, I think the Ottoman had the cannons and the Greek focused in arrows. So like they could have range attack.
Empire
like
did tons with cannons. I'm remembering that.
Theme is hard for me.
I think the Ottomans sold a bunch of cannons to like the Western European countries. Like if you go to like London, the Tower of London, there's a massive Ottoman cannon there. I've seen that.
We should have a historian as a guest someday.
Oh, okay.
Just talk about
historian games.
That'd be fun.
What a great special topic. Speaking of special topic, we're going to talk about intellectual property today.
Ooh.
And I think you had this idea, Steph. Didn't you have this idea on the call? Nice.
Yeah, because I was thinking about other Nashville companies and Infinite Dreams Gaming. They did Warehouse 13. So I'm like,
oh, nice.
Yep. Our guest from 2 weeks ago, Mark Streed, loves Warehouse 13. So
for sure.
He's a huge fan of Warehouse 13. So that's the only reason I knew about that. But there's the guys at the other game publisher here in town. They do like
Van Ryder games.
Thank you, Van Ryder. They do like the Sherlock Holmes themed stuff. Yeah. So there is some people in town doing some IP related things. But I thought that when you had this idea, that was so interesting because some of my favorite games are based on IP, and I don't know if it's because of the IP or if it's just a really good game or both, but I put it to the Discord. I said, hey, y'all, what do you think about this as a topic? Do you have any ideas of things we could talk about? And they loved it and had tons of opinions as to what some good games and maybe not so good games were, which we won't focus too much on the maybe not so good games. But Steph, great topic idea. So thanks for that. Do you have a favorite intellectual property to play in? And
if I had to pick an IP that I enjoyed most of the games that I've played. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
But I would probably say Harry Potter.
Oh. Interesting. I've
never even played a board game in
there's some good
Harry
ones.
Potter.
I love Harry Potter. Like crazy.
So I am one of those people that I shouldn't even admit to this because you're not going to like me anymore and I want you to like me. But I have seen all the movies, but I haven't read the book.
Yeah, I'm there too.
It's a shame.
So
Shame on us.
Shame on us. But
yeah, you need to read the books. They're really great.
Yeah.
You both have kids, right?
Yeah.
So
We'll just save them for
waiting.
that. Yeah, we'll just save them.
Read it with them.
Okay.
Do it.
Perfect. That's a good idea.
I spent all the time I should have been reading Harry Potter, rereading Lord of the Rings as a kid. So.
Yeah. That's a big task.
I recently tried to do all of the like extended history stuff around it. Like I can't say Silmarillion. I don't even know if that's how you say that.
I always said Silmarillion.
Anyway, and like the Children of Hurin and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, that was really fun to go back into.
So
that.
what games in Harry Potter? Like, are there many? I have not even played one.
Oh, there's a bunch. I mean, the OP has a lot of IPs that they work with. And so recently, like the Harry Potter Hogwarts battle is definitely the best.
Yeah.
It's like an intro to deck building in a way.
Oh,
it's
awesome. Cooperative.
It's really great, and they're having expansions for that. And in the same line, Toy Story, which was fantastic. It's same cooperative deck building mechanics and
Cool.
the same kind of like, if you're familiar with the Harry Potter one, you'll jump right into the Toy Story one. And it's just so great. And it's just friendly and nice. And they're just great games. So.
Yeah, I have friends that are not into board games that like were horrified that I hadn't played that game, the Battle for Hogwarts. They're like,
it's really great.
You work at a board game studio, have you not played this game? And I'm like, well, you're big Harry Potter fans, so that's why you know of it. Like, I don't know about every game out there. And so they loved it.
No,
and
I do.
That's
my job.
Yeah, that's your job. That's why we're friends, I hope now. So I can be like, is this a game already? And you can say, yes, Austin, don't make that game. But yes, but yes, but no. I got to play that with them, and it is a fun game. It's simple, like you said, but there's a lot of good moments in it. So
it's simple until it's not.
Yeah, until it's not. That's a good way to describe it.
Because you work through the different books. So in the base game of Harry Potter, you're working through the different books, and so as you get to harder books, it's the more content that's being added, the harder the game gets. So it's very challenging and great.
Yeah. I personally am a Star Wars fanboy. I feel about Star Wars like you feel about Harry Potter.
That's fair. That's fair.
And Zach feels about Lord of the Rings. So for me, I'm always up for a game of Star Wars Rebellion. I love that game. There are some games that I liked less in the Star Wars IP world. Imperial Assault. I haven't played a lot of it, but when I was playing it, I was like, I'd rather just be playing an RPG.
Rebellion.
Or Rebellion, yes, that too. I'd rather just play an actual RPG because it's like a role-playing game, but with on rails a little bit. But there's still like someone game running. They're like the game master. So it's like if you're gonna have one friend that's not actually playing, it might as well just be a full RPG at that point. Anyway. That's just my 2 cents. I actually took all of the game pieces from that and I just use it in my RPG. So I'm super glad I bought the game still. Yeah. I just don't use it as intended. What about you, Zach?
Well, that's one reason why Mansions of Madness 2nd edition is so great, because you don't have that 1st edition where somebody's running as the bad.
Yep.
But you have the app that's running it for you. It's so good. This is why apps are good.
Yeah, and we were talking about the Journeys in Middle-earth game, and why that's so great is like...
Lord of the Rings is amazing.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is amazing. Zach, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was just saying, in the Lord of the Rings space, we've spent so much time playing. We both were like video games more even. Yep. Like Lord of the Rings Online. We just played a ton of that.
Yeah, we did. That was like right when I moved to Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like Battle for Middle-earth 2 on
amazing
like
game.
the RTS and stuff. But
now I want to play, and it's not in print, and so it's a little hard to get. But the Lord of the Rings massive what is the on a map game? Oh gosh, is it called Battle for Middle-earth?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Five Armies.
Yeah,
Battle of the Five Armies.
No, but it's like the really big
War of the Ring.
War of the Ring. Thank you. So I don't have it. That's like number 1 on my list.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I want the Ents expansion. We already talked about that a couple of weeks on the show, but I think that's probably like my number 1 grand strategy game that I want right now. It's been sitting on like a Christmas list where I want my family to buy it for me, but none of them know what it is, and so they don't.
Yeah, anyway, they don't. Yeah,
it's sad not being in a board game family, but
no, it's really, really great. So
okay, good
I highly recommend it.
So for my take on this, I don't have necessarily a specific game because I literally looked at my shelf. I don't like there are almost no games on my shelf that are in an existing IP, and I feel like I've actually like had to like climb a bit uphill like of a mental battle with this concept because like in my head and I don't think this is actually true, but where I've come from is kind of this idea of like you think about like Nintendo and the way that they make their games, they come up with a mechanic and then they build story around that mechanic, and everything comes back to the gameplay rather than like shoehorning gameplay or mechanics into an IP or into a story. So again, like I don't fully agree with this, but like I think that I would rather play a game that was like developed for the gameplay first and then found a theme around it. And specifically, and so I think building a game within an IP just is a harder way to make a game. That said, there are amazing games within IP. But that's kind of I realized that I like because we're prepping for this topic, that I had like this unconscious
Bias.
against like games in existing IP.
That's funny. I think most of my games are in IP.
Yeah, no, they are, and like you've really like brought me into those, and I'm like, oh yeah, this like Star Wars Rebellion is like it's a great game.
Yeah.
Like and they wouldn't have arrived at the mechanics of that game without the world and without the universe. So that has like showed me like, oh, like
it can work in the reverse.
It can work in the reverse and actually come up with a better game because of IP.
Yeah,
that's how Lacerda does all of his games. He has the theme first, in case you're wondering.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
It's great. I think they're both like honestly equally like great ways to make games. It's just not like how I approach things or like the way that I think about them.
Steph, the game that we're working on right now, we had a heck of a time finding a theme that fit the gameplay because we started with the gameplay and then we're like, oh yeah, we'll just like figure out a theme. And like
it took so long.
The meeting that we were supposed to figure out a theme, we figured out one that was just not good and we didn't really love it. And so like we spent the next 2 months figuring out a theme and it was so rough. But it is interesting that I wonder if we should try coming up with a theme first. And then
you think about them from a theme standpoint before.
That's true. I did.
Make it interesting and different.
Yeah, just mix it up.
Yeah.
So I think one thing that like I'm scared of, and I don't want to play a game like this, and I don't want to make a game like this, but with someone that says, well, why does that work like that? And then the person teaching the game says, well, that's how it is in the movie.
Yeah, no,
like,
that's bad.
That'd be bad. You don't ever want that in your game. I said, I don't want to focus on games that are bad because of that, but like it is funny that Monopoly comes out with a version for like every hot movie / like Fortnite has a Monopoly version. Like,
is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
So like what
of course it does.
Like I'm sure there's something that's different about it, but like at the same time, does Monopoly need to have a Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Monopoly for Fallout? Like does it need all of these different versions? And I think the reason is that there are people that collect Monopoly and will buy it, and so there's a market for it, and keep making that for that market. But it is interesting that it does feel very tacked on.
Yeah.
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 But people say that about like any Feld game. Any theme is tacked on. To most Euros that are dry, it's like that's a
true.
tacked on theme. That's like a common saying that I hear. Like whatever. If the mechanics work, it's fine.
I think I am a mechanics first gamer. I think I am. I want to be. Maybe I'm not.
I think it just needs to mesh. It just needs to like.
I know that
they need
I
to
am.
feed into each other.
I know you are too, based on our conversations.
So like, I love Game of Thrones. Like, I love, love, love Game of Thrones. But every Game of Thrones game that I've played is just like, meh.
Yeah.
Is Catan different
sad.
enough from Catan to be unique? The Game of Thrones Catan.
I have both.
Okay,
so
cool.
yes.
All right, cool.
Well, have you played not a board game, but Reigns Game of Thrones game on the iPhone or Android?
It's like a card flicking game.
Yeah, it's like
I can't.
So they have their own game, and they actually made a board game of it too.
Yeah, we backed it. It was on Kickstarter,
which I was really excited about. But it was basically like if Tinder was a RPG game. Essentially, it was like you swipe left or right
without any of the romance. Sorry.
Yeah,
to be clear.
no, just like it. That like
it's not just Tinder as an RPG.
No. Yeah, it's like you meet a man at a tavern
and he looks at you with a sultry look.
No, it's like so you get to choose like. Are you going to say yes or no? And like you are a king or a queen, and people come to you, and you basically have to balance your like the religion, the money, the military, and one other thing, depending upon like swiping left or right. But they made their follow up was in Game of Thrones universe, and it's incredible. Like it made the game better, and it felt like you were in a universe. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. So if you love Game of Thrones, I think you would really enjoy it. That's an aside because I loved it, and I also like Game of Thrones. So,
is there an IP that's overused in board games? And I hate to say this, but if there is one, it might be Star Wars.
There is a lot of Star Wars games, but it's just like.
But they're different from each other. So
you don't have to play them. So
yeah.
It's like I don't know. You just don't have to buy it. So
I don't think so. I just. I just don't play them.
Yeah, that was a question from our Discord. Is there an overused IP? And like
Rick and Morty.
Nice. I look in my closet And I'm like, okay, I got Star Wars Rebellion, I got Star Wars X-Wing, I got Star Wars Armada, I've got Star Wars Legion, I've got Star Wars
my goodness.
Imperial Assault, I've got
That's
Star
a
Wars.
lot. That's a lot,
So
man.
like, yeah, maybe I've gone too far.
Maybe a problem.
But I mean, I play most of those games. So anyway, it's definitely one of those things that maybe it's possible, but maybe not. All right, moving on from that. What games? First off, what IPs need a game?
Yes.
And then what games need a movie, TV show, something that like features how great they are. So let's start with what IPs need a game.
Do you have any stuff?
I did. I thought anything Miyazaki.
Ooh, love that.
Wow.
Princess Mononoke was my pick, but anything Miyazaki, I would be happy.
And there's nothing out there. That's
not that I've ever. I mean, there's
idea.
things that are like
We need to do
kind
this.
of like it, but it's not direct or anything. So
I hadn't even thought of that. That would be so cool.
That is a wonderful idea. This needs to happen. Someone out there,
needs to
go do it.
happen. Talk to Miyazaki. Do it.
Okay, I want a Porco Rosso board game.
That'd be
now.
great.
That would be so fun. Oh my gosh. The characters are just so great in that.
Oh, just characters in all of his movies are amazing.
Oh, now I'm excited.
Yeah.
All of them.
I have to imagine
Dang it.
it'd be almost impossible to get
My
that.
answers
You
are
can't be
nowhere
excited
near.
for nothing that's happened yet.
Yeah, my answers are nowhere near as good as that. Oh well.
Well, it's
That's
true
okay.
because Miyazaki's like the best of the best.
It's
That was a good answer.
it's really hard though. Like I had so many ideas that I like just was searching on BGG and it's like, oh, yep, there's a game there. There's a game there.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy's got board games. Like Elder Scrolls has board games. A Portal, like the kind of Half-Life universe, is like one of my favorite like franchises of all time. That's got a great board game that I've never played. My one though is there is one, but it's like a part of another game. So I think Watchmen would
Interesting.
make a great board game.
Did you watch the new TV show?
Oh yeah.
Are you
It's-
referencing that or the other?
the
like,
graphic novels,
okay.
the Zack Snyder film, and the new series. Like
All the above.
I think just in general, I think it could. It's a great universe, and I think you've got some like elements as like a doomsday clock. So you need to have like a ticking clock like built into the
Ugh,
narrative.
I
Like
hate real-time games.
well, no, not literally. Like you do
Okay.
things that move the clock towards doomsday,
I
and
just
that
can't
could
handle
be
the
the end of the
stress.
game. You could be like asymmetric, like Lee Powered vigilantes
right.
coming together to stop crime. You got like these great themes of like like do ends justify the means, and like
Yeah.
certain characters have to follow like certain morality guidelines where others do
Ooh.
not.
So you're talking
I think
about
it
like,
could be.
you got like a paladin situation.
I think it could be great.
I said I hate. Sorry, I totally interrupted you, but I said I hate real-time games. I actually don't. I really like some real-time elements, like in Galaxy Trucker. I love that section of that game.
Yeah.
I also we're getting Pendulum from a local retailer here. GamePoint. Do you know GamePoint, Steph? Have you worked with Rick
Of
over
course,
there?
yeah.
Yeah. So we're
Yeah.
pre-ordering it from them, but that has some interesting mechanics. But it's all real-time, and that I'm excited to play that. All right, going back to your idea. Watchmen would be fun. Sorry.
I mean,
didn't
that's really
transition
all
that
I
well.
had. I didn't know if either of you are Watchmen fans. But
I've watched a couple episodes with you of the TV show, and I know a little bit about the universe, but not a ton. I just know there's a blue man on the moon.
you're not wrong.
Well, is he on the moon?
Mars,
Mars?
the
Might be
moon
Mars.
sometimes. Yeah. I mean,
Okay, so
yeah.
in space, there's a blue man in space.
Yeah.
All right, so we had a couple from the Discord. One of them was Narnia. I don't know of a Narnia game. Steph, do you know of a Narnia game?
No, I don't think so.
Definitely not anything recent, if there is.
Yeah.
I think that could be a really fun one.
I should keep my Narnia takes to myself.
Oh, you have hot Narnia takes? The Horse and His Boy is great, Zach. Yeah, I have... IP's kind of a loose thing. So one of my favorite authors, Brandon Sanderson, has several board games already out there. He has the Mistborn Fall of Luthadel, I think is what it's called. And then he has Steelheart book series. I can't remember the board game they made from that, but it's like Superpowers. A lot of people really like that game. I actually own Siege of Luthadel, but I haven't played the other one. Anyway, I really want a board game in his Stormlight universe, the Way of Kings books. And the reason I want this, and I know I'm going to hot take where you guys won't know anything about this, whereas I at least knew something about your guys' too. But the reason I want this is the combat in this book is based around like lords that have really powerful armor and swords. They're basically unstoppable on the battlefield. And so when you see one, you have to send one of your own really powerful guys to go fight it because there's no one else that can fight them, basically. And so I think it would be really interesting game mechanic where you have armies that you're kind of just like bluffing with, and then suddenly you reveal they're called shard bearers. You reveal the shard bearer, and like if they don't countered, then you would lose, basically. So I think that'd be a cool mechanic in a game, like the war of them. So Way of Kings, great book series. That's the first in the book series. The book series is called the Stormlight Archive. Anyway, I talk about it way too much on this show. But it's the IP that I want to game.
We need to make a separate show where you just talk about this. It's just Austin monologuing.
Oh, no.
About
All right. What games? Okay.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say I would love to see more indie video games translated to board games. Is one
Interesting.
thing I'll
Just
say.
like Reigns.
Like a Stardew Valley board game.
Oh my gosh.
Would love
Stardew
that.
Valley
Some
board game.
farming. Like a Super Meat Boy game.
I don't know about that. I'm not with that one on you. I was on with you on Stardew, but
anyways, I think that'd be a
the
blast. I'd
noises,
play those.
I had to turn the
Smaller
volume.
audience though. So.
I had to turn the volume off on Super Meat Boy. I couldn't do the squelches and the squishies. Yep.
ASMR.
ASMR, Ivy Weekly. All right. So what games that are out there need IP made about them? I am going to start with two from the Discord. So one was Nemesis. There are movies like Nemesis because it's like people trapped on a spaceship and then aliens trying to kill them. So there are movies like that, but Nemesis is okay. So Steph, the first time I played Nemesis, the power was out, and I went to Nashville Board Game Guy. Is that his Instagram handle?
I think so. Yeah.
I went to his house, and he had a soundtrack playing, and the lights were off, and we had just this flashlight hanging from like the ceiling, and we were playing it. And it had this soundtrack where there were screams placed like every 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, terrified me the first time it happened. Anyway, I want that feeling in a movie that I wouldn't watch because I don't like those type of movies. But I think it would make a good movie. And then the other one was Twilight Imperium. Twilight Imperium has so much lore.
So much lore, but no characters.
There's characters.
Characters are what make a great film, Austin.
All right, Zach. There are characters. They're just not integral to gameplay. Like, especially in the expansion, there's like leaders and stuff.
I don't know. I was thinking about this one a whole lot, this question, because there are a lot of games that could be good. But I think really, we've kind of even talked about it a little bit today, but Scythe, I think, would just be the most interesting.
This is a good answer.
It's a great world. I
mean,
love
it's
this.
a great world. It's weird. And there's
it's
cool,
steampunky,
like, mechs and weird things happening, and it's just so different that it would be my choice.
I love that.
I agree. I think I want to change my answer.
We're just all
we're
gonna start writing the Scythe movie right now.
Yeah, that's we're gonna start a separate podcast about writing the. No, I agree with you 100%. That's a super good answer. I think someone actually tried the person that made Twilight Imperium tried to make a movie because there's an IMDb listing of it, but it definitely is not very popular and was apparently very low budget. So maybe not a great choice to do it on your own. We should probably, yeah.
I've been like racking my brain about this, and I just cannot get the Battleship movie like that taste out of my mouth.
But Battleship isn't a modern board game, so
I'm wondering if we will ever. It's such a hard thing to translate a video game to a movie and like a board. They've tried it so many times with video games and
like Assassin's Creed.
That could have been so good, but
it was not.
Had some cool parts, but
it had cool parts.
Yeah, it's such a bummer, and I cannot think of a board game. I'm sorry, I just can't. I know this is lame.
Well, it could also almost any Mind Clash game because they're all really weird, like Anachrony or Cerebria or Tricurian. Like, well, Tricurian's more magic, but that
you think they would
Anachrony is
or
a
would
weird,
not translate well.
I think they would be great.
Yeah, I feel like an element of it too is like this is way more practical than this question should be. But the only way that it's going to happen is if it's going to bring some new audience with it. So I feel like to me, like I was kind of thinking like it would have to be something very popular.
Yeah, like Catan, like a movie about
for it to ever happen.
Four people coming to
there's
an
like
island.
a TV show about Catan coming out.
What? This
I
is
saw
new
that.
news to me.
Like
That's
people
incredible.
playing Catan, or like
Like I know that they made an escape room regarding Catan.
Oh,
But
that's
I think
fun.
they're also
Oh.
making like a movie or TV show or something.
Interesting.
It's that
Yeah.
that was from earlier this year, so I don't know where the progress has been with that. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
there's definitely games where it translates better because, like Nemesis, you're playing as characters, they're trying to escape a ship. Like that already
Yeah.
exists out there. Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't be hard to translate to a movie. But yeah, like to your
No.
point, Zach, like there's some games like we're not making an Azul themed movie. Like there's just nothing there, right?
Yeah.
So it definitely doesn't work for everything.
So we can make a pandemic movie, but that's just the life we're living in.
Yeah.
So.
And I think there already is a movie literally called
Yeah,
Pandemic.
no, there are a lot
so-
of pandemic movies. I feel like Pandemic the game is based on pandemic movies.
movies, yeah.
World War Z or something. Spoilers.
Oh, Zach, spoilers.
I'm so sorry.
Oh no.
You just bleep it out.
Bleep it out, Sam. Bleep it out.
Um,
Oh no. Okay, it's all right.
Oh.
You didn't give it specific enough. I think we're okay.
So one thing, sorry, I meant to say this earlier, but I do think like one of my favorite applications of IP, and this is not actually like, it is essentially RPGs. Like we've played quite a bit of Dungeons and Dragons, but you have led
Lord of the
you
Rings.
have DM'd a Star Wars and a Lord of the
Yep.
Rings RPG night, and those have been my favorite RPG experiences.
Yeah, I'm
and
so proud of myself. Thank you.
Steph, have you had any? Do you do much RPG, D&D, or anything like that?
Nope. I play Pathfinder, the adventure card game. That's about as close
Okay.
to RPG as I get.
Nice. We should check that out.
Yeah, we should. She was telling me about it on our prep call, and I got excited about it. So I agree that having the established world makes something like an RPG so much easier because I'm so familiar with Lord of the Rings and Star Wars that I don't have to make up as much, right?
Yeah,
And so
and it's not to say that D&D isn't like that
no.
expansive, right? Like, but it's just like I don't know that much. I know way more about Lord of the Rings or Star
yeah.
Wars or
it's
a number of other things.
level playing field because
Yeah.
we both know stuff
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it. I think something that's interesting, Steph, and we didn't touch on this, but we were talking about games that go from board games to movies. Warhammer, I mean, it's a tabletop game. It's not really a board game, but I remember like seeing a ton of ads for that, and then I just heard nothing about it. Do you remember when that Warhammer movie came out?
Did it come out?
I think it did.
Oh no.
I have no idea.
I think it did really poorly, but
That's too bad.
it's okay. All right. Well, I think that was a fun special topic. Thanks, Steph. We didn't get into some of the really popular ones right now. I know like Disney's got Marvel and Villainous and all these really, really more and more games and expansions just keep coming out in those universes, which is great. Those, like to Zach point, he said earlier that he wasn't as interested in those. I haven't really gotten into those, Steph. Do they stand really well alone, like a game like Villainous or 5 Minute Marvel? Do you enjoy those based on the IP, or is it more just the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think what I like about games that are at Target in the Marvel universe or Disney universe is that they are more strategy related. So people off the street who aren't necessarily gamers will pick it up and see like, wow, this is like really cool, and then start looking for other more in-depth games. So
Good gateway games.
I think it's a really great, people will see Villainous on the shelf at Target and be like, wow, that looks amazing,
Yeah, the artwork's
And
great.
so I think that's really great. I own Villainous. I enjoy Villainous. I don't think it's like groundbreaking or anything. I mean, it's fine. I just I like it more for the entry for other gamers and
That's a
how
good answer.
if
I
they
like
play
that.
something like Catan, what else can we find? Oh, this has a cool theme. Let's try it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we can definitely appreciate that as guys that played a ton of Catan in college. So,
Oh yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that wraps it up for me for the special topic. I think that was fun. So,
Yeah.
Thanks, Steph.
Yeah.
So Steph, we usually end the show by talking a little bit about where our stuff is at for our IV games. I have really good news that I told you on our prep call, but everyone else has not heard that. But the games are on boats and are on their way to the countries. So they're planning to get to their ports beginning of September, and then they'll be released to the actual distribution centers in mid-September, and then they'll be processed because they have to be repackaged and all of that. And they should be delivering from mid-September, probably up until that first week in October in that window. assuming everything goes correctly. So this will all be in an update that we release to the IV Moonrakers Kickstarter. And so you'll see an actual schedule with all that laid out. But right now, it's just those rough timeline numbers that we can share with you. Zach, anything else for the IV update?
No, I got nothing. We're still, going strong on Veiled Fate promo. Just got done making some new social images for Instagram and Twitter and all that good stuff. So be sure to follow our new game over there. We're rolling out a look at all the different areas on the board this week. Really excited about sharing that with you all.
Yeah, and then on top of that, we have had a lot of new people come to the Discord and play Veiled Fate. Yeah, a lot of new people. So if you've heard about the game or you've seen the artwork and you want to come play, just go to veiledfate.com, and up in the top right-hand corner, there's a Discord button. You can join our Discord, and you can come play with us on Tabletop Simulator there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go follow Steph on Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
And go read her blog on Punkin312. And I've been following it for a while, and it's really great photography content. So. And check out all of her reviews on
all the meeples of the rainbow.
Yes.
Yep. And look out for those sad clouds. Sad clouds.
People
is so
like
much
to
better.
see bad reviews. It's funny.
It is
like,
funny.
I want to see more bad reviews. I'm like,
I definitely haven't Googled worst board game reviews of all time. Definitely not. That's how I found that one about the Monopoly thing with Dice Tower. But anyway,
you just doom scroll on board games. It's
I got in a dark place. I can't explain it. All right. Steph, thank you so much for coming on today.
Yes, thank you.
Very excited for the world to open back up and to play games with you in person. Hopefully at Tennessee Game Days or something else. So,
sure.
Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to come talk to us, and looking forward to hanging out soon.
Excellent. Have fun, guys. Play all the games.
Play all the games.
Have a long
We will try. We have a long way to catch up. Yeah. Might take us a while. All right,
over
guys.
3,000 at this point.
Oof,
I don't think we're catching her.
I don't think it's possible. No. Yep. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.